like E-Telly as well as all of that stuff. I don't think that Thomas is quite going with that, but he does have instead a Dance Princess and Con. That's a great card to start the duel with. Does play around that Ash Blossom that McKintlock has in his hand here, as it sets directly from the deck.
Yeah, it's always fun. There are cards like that. I mean, Ash. The text of Ash is sort of very generous in what it can negate. It can negate basically everything.
Pretty
but
much,
certain cards, you know, summons from the deck, sends from the deck to the graveyard. But this Ash looks like it'll be quite strong, I'd say, because this would be a search 2 cards. So it's not.
Yeah, that's huge.
Oh,
Crossout. All right, we talked a little bit about that earlier, but. Crossout coming in pretty clutch here for Thomas as it hits the Ash Blossom.
Yeah, so I had a peek at his list, and he was running multiple copies of the Crossout Designator. I mean, I guess you have to run multiple copies of Crossout Designator, right? If you're going to run one, like, because you need to run all the targets for it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can't just like slip in one and then you need to run quite a lot.
Card number 40 at this point. All right, well, that is the best starter card in the deck.
It's the best starter card in the game. Full combo.
Technically, I suppose, if you really think about it. One singular normal summon of Sunseed Loci. And Dreas is going to activate the effect here, which is when it's summoned to the extra monster zone utilizing a Loci. You can search a Sunseed or Sunvine spell. So we're going to go for Sowing here, which brings out the Sunseed Twin. And that's going to form a chain link of probably usually what you do is one Twin to Dryas. It's going to bring out the Sunvine Healer, and then the Twin brings out the Loci from the graveyard. Basically, what I'm trying to say is we've got a lot of special summons.
It just feels like you get quite a lot of free plant monsters in play between just one Loci. I don't know how many plant monsters you actually end up on just from the one. Yeah, at least 3, maybe 4.
It's really strange. The Sun Avalon deck, I suppose you want to call it, has kind of changed up in a couple of different ways since as we've had more and more Rikka cards. Like previously, you used to end on, like, I think it was pretty much every zone would be locked. You'd end on the Link for Dry Trinity with the I suppose the trap card. It's not exactly Skill Drain. It's more like a Featherstorm kind of thing. Maybe not Featherstorm. More like a Mass Imperm. With the Bengal Lancer to bounce a monster back to your hand, the Rikka Queen to tribute your opponent's monster for a cost, because we have Con, and I think a Regulus as well you had. But the Rikka cards sort of lock you into plants more, so a little bit more restrictive like that. But it's better at grinding and gives you a little bit more, I suppose, resilience, grind game, yeah.
I mean, now it feels like the Sun Avalon cards are there to sort of get your Rikka engine, like to bridge you into the Rikka cards.
Yeah.
Because it just gives you so much free gas. So you might as well use that to set up your I'd say the main engine now is the Rikka.
Do you know the set that Jasmine was printed in? I think it was Link Rain? No, Duelist Overloads? It was basically, it was like notorious because there was so many Link 2 monsters. Like, I think it was in the same set as Hulk, in the same set as Isolde.
I mean, these are all very good cards.
Yeah, they all just seem to be like some of the most powerful Link monsters ever made. And I guess Jasmine's kind of flown under the radar a lot because, I mean, plants haven't really been consistently meta over the last few years.
but like obviously in a plant deck, it's crazy powerful.
Absolutely, yeah. And it works really well with the Sunvine Healer here, who has the effect which is gain some life points. You can see Tom is already 600 life points ahead. So hypothetically, if this duel lasts another 41 minutes, he's gonna be fine here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Rikka first turn lasts, a while.
close to that.
Not quite 41.
So Jasmine gets a search here, and then it also is a lone fire in of itself. It's like this weird sort of theme, I guess, with the card design that has been established with plants, which is like tributing and then like special summoning from deck. So it is just sort of like a lone fire. Tribute a monster you points to, and then it gets you Madan. I didn't quite see what he searched there, but it was probably Sheet.
It looks like Rikka's Sheet, but I mean, because he's used the field spell
and the Glamour, which was Ash, yeah.
I don't know if they run any other spell cards to search with it.
I think there are options, but not ones that are like sort of consistently played in the more competitive oriented versions of Rikka.
The Rikka Princess is a card for me. It's so sneaky. Like, it's just sort of chilling in the graveyard somewhere, and then it comes out and like tributes your monster and negates one of your monster effects. It feels like it comes out of completely nowhere.
So that's one of the coolest disruptions this deck can set up, is the Princess in the graveyard. For those of you who don't know, it tributes a plant and negates a monster effect that your opponent controls. But if you pair that up with a field spell, you can actually tribute their monster to negate a card. So it's almost like 2 disruptions just by itself.
And tributing for cost as well is something that is really weird. It's weird to wrap your head around the first time, because normally when your opponent activates something to interrupt you, do something to your board, you think, oh, I can respond to that, you know, but you can't because it happens immediately.
I think the closest things we have to that is like Lair of Darkness, maybe.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of Lair of Darkness when you were talking about these tribute themes.
Yeah.
So that looked like a little whiff.
Yeah, so the Sylvan Dance Peon can, you declare like, I think like up to 3, and you excavate that many from the top of your deck, and you can just special summon like all of the plant. Well, not all, I think like 2, up to 2 of the plants that you excavate. So you can just get like, you can get another Loci, you can get a Lone Fire off the top, like things like that. But we had a complete whiff here, which is, it's fine, you know.
It's fine. I think he's got enough stuff going on. I don't think he needs any more stuff.
So this is really cool here. The Strenna gets to float into a monster from the extra deck here. He actually goes into the Rikka Queen, and typically I think what I've seen happen more often than not is they usually go into the other plant Ixie monster, the Hyper...
The one that attaches materials and then negates. Card names are a challenge.
Hypertrion, I think, or something like that. It's really good. It's really good, but we're going for the Rikka Queen here. And that's a pass from Tom. You can see here, it actually just doesn't look like much, I think, right? But it is a lot.
You contribute. I mean, you can only use the con tribute your opponent's plant monster once per turn, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's not infinite negations, but it's a good few.
It's a decent amount of disruption.
I don't think it's as many monsters as you normally end up with the Rikka combo, but it's still pretty solid.
Well, I suppose the one disruption this deck doesn't have, you know, it's got a mind control, it's got a tribute for cost, it's got a bounce, it's got a monster negate, but it does not have a stop for branded fusion. So.
And the cross Ash has already been designated not allowed for a minute.
I don't think it lasts multiple turns
like
last? Called by.
Oh,
called by definitely lasts 2 turns.
Yeah, called by
I don't
lasts
think cross out
does. Yeah, does cross out only 1? Okay.
Should be. But we can just negate the Aliber here so that we don't give our opponent any access to branded fusion unless we've hard drawn it. It doesn't look like it because my Kintlock is going to go into a Druid's Worm. Or is that Saronir?
That's the Druid's Worm.
That's the Druid's Worm.
I don't... So he's running a large Bestial package.
Yeah, we noticed that as a big difference from the first round deck we saw.
And I'm not sure, you know, I love the Bestials in other decks because you can special summon them and then you can link summon with them or XYZ summon with them. I don't know what you do with them so much in the branded deck.
Well, they're part of the theme. There's the branded fusion picked up off the top there.
You're much quicker than this at me.
That was very convenient. The
draw for Lost, and what's the search for? What did he banish? Maybe he banished
Mercurier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the branded regained, right? Drew a card off the top of the deck here. Again, it got the branded fusion, which was, you know, we disrupted Aliber to stop branded fusion, but we got it anyway.
It's definitely not the card you want your opponent to have as the last card in their hand. When you think, okay, I'll negate this, I'll negate this, I'll negate this. And then they're just like, aha, here's my ace card. Presumably the Albaz is maybe going to get bounced, prevent... I assume Tom knows his rulings.
Does the Albaz, does it still resolve?
That's what I was thinking, because it does say if you have to fusion with monsters on the field, including this card. So, and I'm pretty sure it shouldn't resolve, but it's something you'd want to know.
He seems very confident about this being the correct play.
Yeah.
So I suppose Albaz must actually need to be sent from the field.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense, because if it's sent to the graveyard, it doesn't resolve either, obviously. And I guess why would... I don't know.
Okay, so this would have been potentially turn ending, but it didn't matter because the draw from Regained gave us the branded fusion. It looks like we're going to fuse up from the deck with that all-important branded fusion here. No Ash Blossom from Tom's side, even though we know that he definitely does play it. Didn't open it in his hands here alongside his full combo. All right, there's the, I suppose, like the newer of the branded fusion monsters, the Springgan counterpart, I think it is.
It's middle new.
Middle new.
This isn't the Tri-Brigade one?
Yeah, I think it is, right?
No. Oh, no, you've lost me now.
It is Rindrum, right?
That's definitely a Rindrum. I just can't remember what thing it summons. Was that a end of turn?
Yeah, it looks like end of the turn there.
And the Rikka Pedal comes back.
So he did summon a Rindrum, but didn't get to really do much with it. Pedal is like one of the most annoying recursions I've found, by the way. Every single end phase.
Every end phase.
And then you just get a search. It's pretty powerful.
I'm just having a read there. So I think if I think if it's a monster summon from the extra, I don't know if it says monster summon from the extra deck. It might say like Fusion, XYZ, Link, etc. Activates its effect. You can negate it, and then you can bounce a monster, or maybe it's a card. I'm not sure. Most people are quite fond of its graveyard effect. So you can banish it from your graveyard during your opponent's turn, especially summon a Fallen of Albaz from your graveyard, and that's a quick effect. So it's very handy because Fallen of Albaz obviously confuse, get rid of some of your opponent's monsters, and then you'll have another big threat as well. But currently it's in place, so you have to deal with its on-field effect.
Well, the advantage is the Bengal Lancer is sort of a quick effect compulse, so shouldn't really risk any graveyard effects there as he activates the effect there. Looks like he's chaining the Brum on Queen. And that's a Princess, right?
So Princess to negate, tributing the Druid Worm to negate the Rin Brum. So that was a 3-link chain there.
Yeah, utilizing the Con again, the powerful ability to just tribute for cost is so strong.
Yeah, so that Druid Worm's going to be sent to the graveyard.
Doesn't Druid Worm send a special summon monster?
It does, exactly. So I guess that's goodbye to the Rikka Queen, but I think Tom will be okay without his Queen. I think he's got enough enough juice. So do we know the last card in hand?
I don't think we do, but it's not going to be an issue because the Con can get Glamour. And Glamour
I think it was a Mercuria, actually. Was a Mercuria added?
No, he did. From the Kinlock side, it's the... it's a Quem or a Cartesia, isn't it? Or is it just an Albaz?
I know, he's turning it around a lot.
Maybe he's not sure.
Yeah, he's not. He wants to check what it is. But it looks like Tom is in full control of this one. He's got to set the Glamour, and then he can use it again, search 2 more Rikka monsters. I feel like this is the part of a game where, I mean, again, you've kind of executed your combo, you've done exactly what you want to do turn 1. But I think turn 1 is the sort of time when you're learning a deck. You know, you can go online, you can look at 100 people's little combo tutorials, and you can learn how to do it. But no one gives you a combo tutorial for, like, you know, what to do in this situation after you've used most of your deck. This is where you really need to have some experience playing the game, and I trust Tom to have a lot of experience playing this. I'm pretty sure he's been playing this deck for a while.
I think he's been on this for almost like, maybe not since release, but definitely since like almost the last national championship, or at least last European championship is when this was probably most popularized.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Glamour is such a powerful tool. They're giving you 2 copies of the plants from the deck to the hand here, and then we go into Strenna, and Strenna gets to float into more monsters. It's really funny to notice, by the way, just how many extra deck cards you utilize. I think Tom has like 6 cards left or something.
Well, yeah, because you make everything. A Strenna, and then it summons another one from the extra deck, and I mean, I guess the Sun Avalon package requires like 4 or 5 extra deck monsters to be summoned on the first turn to get all your free plants.
This is kind of, I suppose, the long-term goal, or the sort of long-term kind of strategy you need to bear in mind when you play in a situation like this is, I would feel personally, I mean, there's always like a chance, but I would feel like in this case, okay, I mean, you do need to factor in some time, right? And in a situation like this, you maybe consider, okay, well, I don't think I'm going to win this game, right? So in order to give myself enough time to play in Game 3, assuming I win Game 2, which I'm probably going to go second in Game 3 again, then I need to be able to have enough time to do damage. I think sometimes players maybe struggle to recognize when it's time to call it quits, do you think?
Yeah, I'm a fan of this often, is like, if I see a game's over, then I will concede. I mean, sometimes it's good...
just for more information, I suppose?
Yeah, sometimes it's good to watch your opponent. I mean, sometimes it's good just to make sure your opponent, make them have it. Make them actually do the
Sometimes
damage.
people trip over themselves.
So yeah, sometimes people make mistakes. This is, again, we're in a feature match area. It's going to make players feel under a lot of pressure sometimes, so they can make mistakes. And yeah, maybe if you're not familiar with the Rikka cards or something like that, then you could wait. And it looks like...
Tom actually has an established game here.
Yeah, so he does actually get an extra turn, which I wouldn't have predicted from the start of the turn.
That's a good point. It's a little bit concerning. I feel like I can detect a little bit of frustration from Tom. Oh, that's a big pickup there, actually. I don't know how relevant it is here. How much...
I saw the super polymerizations in his deck list, and I was thinking to myself, does that work against Rikka? Does he have anything to do?
Muddragon? Maybe? Yeah, here we go. It looks like Twin Twisters for Monsters is being activated for Garura. Okay, yeah. This came out semi-recently. It was a Power of the Elements. It really opened up a lot of tools and options for super polymerization. It's a great it's a great card, especially with the fact that it just draws the card when it goes to the graveyard.
Yeah, I think you'd struggle nowadays to find like something like a field that cannot be super polymerization away. You know,
There's almost something that you can make, right?
there's a million like fusion monsters with generic materials nowadays.
But Bengalancer makes quick work of the Garura here as we're able to special summon, return it to the extra deck. And on the end phase, as we mentioned, Petal comes back every single end phase for the opponent, and I suppose is it the Regain that
Yeah,
can bring
branded
back,
Regained, yeah.
can bring back the Saronir, so I guess we just deal with it again, but looks like we're just going to mind control it with the Rikka sheet. And
Well, brain control, I guess.
there's something
So you can attack
it
it depends on the matchup, right?
Okay, so...
Oh, he is.
Well, you picked it up. There, he is in fact going second. Never mind. That's scary.
That is scary. I don't think I'm like confident enough in myself to go, because I'd feel a bit silly if, I just go second and my opponent has full combo and I just sit there and be like, why did I do this? But if you have a plan, like it's definitely been successful for players in the past.
Well, I don't know if you can notice, but there is indeed a plan here, because if you count up the number of summons that Thomas is on, you will potentially notice that we're going to hit 5 very, very shortly.
A big rock-sized plan.
Yeah, printed in the Megatins of 2019, I think. Nibiru has been quite a staple of sorts in and out of the format over the last couple of years, hasn't it?
I feel like Nibiru is a card, to me, like, you obviously have to count how many times your opponent's summoning, and you also have to count it in a way that's like, you don't want to give it away.
Yeah.
It can be quite difficult, so it's something you have to keep track of.
I was just going to point out, this is exactly where I would have stopped Tom. Now, I don't know how far, maybe there's some very experienced plant players who can tell you specifically, X point of the combo is where we want to go for the Nibiru, but I think just before the Jasmine gets the trigger for the search of the Sunvine Healer gaining life points to then trigger the Jasmine, I think right here seems very opportune.
Yeah, it's tricky because the Nibiru is obviously a card you want to juice as much as possible. Mm-hmm. You want to like wait and see, until your opponent's committed as much. But there are obviously certain times your opponent might summon a monster that includes an effect which negates Nibiru. So you need to know when that's likely to happen in order to know when's the longest you can hold it.
Over the last few formats and such, so many decks can put up, I suppose, very popularly, Baron the Floor, Apollosa.
Yeah, these sorts of cards.
So you have to be very wary of just exactly where, like you said,
Was that a concede?
I think you have to, right?
Well, he was made to go first by his opponent.
This feels like a replay, almost, doesn't it?
Is that another big rock?
Are we watching the same duel? Like, this is exactly what we saw last game.
Maybe they just restarted.
Okay, we go again.
But now it is 1-1.
I'm really scared to allow my opponent to go second post-siding, So the advantage is you can really mess up your opponent's siding patterns, I suppose.
I was going to say, did you mean allow my opponent to go first? Mm-hmm. Okay, because you said allow my opponent to go second.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So yeah, in a situation like where McClintock was in last duel, he was like, okay, you know what, I lost game 1, but it doesn't matter, I'm going to let you start anyway. I mean, that can work if you have a very, solid game plan where it's like, all right, my opponent's playing a big heavy combo deck. If I simply activate Dart Ruler or Nibiru at the right time, I can just auto-win, but you need to draw those cards.
Yeah, I think it is a cool strategy because there are a lot of times where people will side in cards. There are a lot of times people will side in different cards depending on whether they think they're going to go first or second. Mm-hmm. So if your opponent's going to side in a bunch of cards for going second, maybe they're siding in Lightning Storm, for example, a powerful card going second. Then if you make them go first, then the Lightning Storm they can't use.
Yeah, and then they have to play into it, and then it gets even more devastating because when you have face-up cards, you just can't. You just can't do anything.
That looks like the Nibiru is not going to resolve this game.
Yeah, so I think Thomas played a little bit around it there by using I think it was the pedal to search the princess to preemptively allow him to set up a negate, as we talked about just before we hit 5 summons. And yeah, as you said, that Nibiru will be negated by tributing the twin from the field here, tributing a plant using the hand effect.
I mean, he's negated the Nibiru. Is it annoying to lose a monster here, or do you think it's just...
No, I think Jasmine plus 2 monsters is still full combo.
Okay.
Yeah, so you put the Dryas in in that zone, the Sunvine Healer activates, gains life points, triggers the Jasmine gets a search, and you just kind of keep going. So almost like uninhibited here, actually, is the crazy thing about this. And that Nibiru is kind of just going to stay in the hand, not really doing anything. At best, it's going to be probably discard fodder for Lebellion.
Was that the Therion, I don't know the name, Therion plant monster that will allow you to search Therion King Regulus as well?
Yeah, so Lilyboria is a very good plant extender. It just specials itself, equips from the graveyard. You send and you get the search of the field spell. It's actually Discoloseum.
Okay, so you search the field spell first and then you search the Therion King.
Yeah. My issue is I don't know 100%. I feel like Tom might be plant locked. I don't think he is. It's usually the Rikka cards have like a couple of restrictions on them, so searching a machine is obviously very useless, but I think he is actually okay here.
Which, I mean, I'm putting you on the spot here. Do you know which is the card which locks you into summoning plant monsters?
It's either like Con or like one of the main deck monsters, but I assume like we're doing this because we're not locked, so it should be okay here. And the Medan is brought out from the deck here.
Is it Petal? Am I being silly?
Potentially.
Because he's already used Petal this time, right?
Okay. Well, if he doesn't summon the Regulus, we'll know it was because of a lock and restriction that was placed early in the turn here as Tom searches the all-important field spell. Absolutely massive in this matchup here. Well, maybe not this matchup specifically. I feel like tributing branded monsters isn't maybe potentially that crazy good.
I don't know, yeah. I mean, it is good. One of the things that allows Branded to sort of grind so well is the fact that all of its monsters are very large. So just having efficient ways to remove... You can't... It's not just enough to negate their effects, right? You also need to deal with a monster that has 3,000 attack points.
This is a really cool line here. So the twin that we tributed earlier has it actually... it's got a graveyard effect that allows you to banish a plant you control to special summon... so basically you need to control like 2 plants with the same name or something. Then you can banish it to bring back a plant from your graveyard, bringing back the Jasmine. And Jasmine has the non-once per turn effect of when you gain life points to search a plant.
It's not once per turn?
The gain effect isn't, no.
Oh, okay.
Or rather the search effect. The tribute is.
Okay.
So what you can do is you can just search again here by using the Sunvine Healer, who also is, not once per turn. And I think that's the Snowdrop. Who specials itself by tributing a plant to also bring out another plant from the hand here. And this also lets you manipulate the levels. This definitely locks you into plants, so we're not going to be seeing
Snowdrop.
Yeah.
Snowdrop is 8 and it allows you to target another monster and make it level 8,
Exactly,
right?
yeah. So I think we're going for a Bengal Lancer here. Okay, we're going to go Malayas for Bengal Lancer most likely, and then we can go for the Queen. And then re-establish the Con, and then Con can get Sheet. This is incredible. This is a really, really amazing field here that Tom's established, basically.
He's made all of his plants level 8, so he's going to make 2 rank 8s, I think. I think that's...
I guess he's not used... Yeah, so you can it doesn't need to be 8. You can just like target something you already control. So it looks like we're going for 4, so that we can make the rank 4 Rikka, and then that will allow you to go into...
Rikka Queen number 1.
Oh, we're going 2 of them. I've never seen this line before, but I guess it works.
Is Strenna's...
Yeah, so when it's tributed, it gets to bring out either the Hypertron...
That's the Hypertron, right?
Yeah, there it is.
So currently it can negate a monster effect. Now I think if you activate a spell card, you'll be able to put a spell...
Oh, that's not once per turn. Oh, I suppose... Okay, so it attaches from the first effect of Strenna. Now, because we have activated a spell, we get to attach a spell from the graveyard. So this negates a spell or a monster, depending on the card type that you detach, and Con searches the sheet from the deck. And we still need to make Bengal Lancer. This is everything. Through Nibiru.
It's got that 1 monster negate.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
There's a Therion King. Can you tribute the Strenna in your opponent's turn as well? You probably can. So
for who?
Well, as in Tom can tribute the Strenna, so that will be another negate.
Yeah.
Right?
So that will probably So he can tribute the Strenna to use the sheet.
Was that a 6th card Ash? That's always quite unpleasant.
Yeah. So as you're saying, the Strenna I think should be able to float into a Queen.
Yeah. So it'll give you an extra tribute.
Another crazy interruption here.
I don't know. He started with the Branded Lost. I don't know what...
That's always scary, right? Because Branded Loss means that if you have Branded Fusion, you can't negate the activation. So it actually puts you in a bit of a weird position here. It
is a strange one, because you read it and you think, great, my Branded Fusion is safe from everything. And then...
But they don't need to have it.
Then you can negate effects. So you, so you can negate, like Therion King negates effects, it doesn't negate activations, for example.
Oh, really? You can just...
So you can Ash, you can Therion King.
Wow.
So if something says negate the activation, you can't do that. But if something says negate the effect, then you can.
Yeah, so it's a big... kind of really niche point of card text, utilizing the difference between activate, use, and effect. And Branded Lost stops your opponent activating cards in response to your fusion spells. So you cannot, for example, Solemn Warning, Branded Fusion, but you can negate the effect, which is what something like Ash Blossom does here. Fallen of Albaz comes out here. Exact same interaction we saw last duel.
I think.
Oh wait, this
trying to
form a
I'm
fusion
not
here?
sure that what he's attempting here is.
The Bengal answer doesn't work against Albaz?
No,
is
it
what you're
definitely
saying?
does.
Okay,
I think
okay.
he's possibly not quite sure how Branded Lost works.
Yeah.
Because he's pointing to Branded Lost. But you can still respond to an effect which fusion summons a monster. You can't respond when a monster's been fusion summoned.
Yeah. So one of the most like terrifying interactions that sometimes you get to do in Branded is you get to special summon like Mirror Jade. You fusion summon the Mirror Jade, and then on the summon of Mirror Jade, you can banish a monster without targeting, and your opponent can't respond to it.
Yeah, you can make a nice big chain link.
Yeah.
Like these effects that prevent your opponent from responding in a particular window can be very, very powerful, just like Branded Lost.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't think of any other like interactions like that. I want to say there's a couple of instances in Yu-Gi-Oh where we've seen like non-response windows. Meltdown, I think I want to say
Meltdown
is
very
one of the most
similar.
important
Yeah.
ones.
Meltdown is the exact same text. And there are a couple of there's a random old Satellarknight card that says when it's summoned, your opponent can't respond.
Wait, really? I played that deck a lot. Which one? Is it
it's one of the 3 material XYZ monsters.
Which one is it?
Deltaros, maybe?
Deltaros. Yeah. Remember the what was the interaction? What were the materials you used to summon with it? Not the Tellarknights. You could summon it with the draw ones. Remember? What were they called?